What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. Banks, coming at you live with the first trade recap of 2024. And today we'll be going over fair value gaps and how we used one to catch Tesla for 165% banger today in the Roosevelt Discord. Now, before I go ahead and get started, let's hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of this educational content I put out to make you a profitable trader in 2024. Like I said, we will be going over fair value gaps, a Tesla trade. We do go over live trades that were taken in the Roosevelt Discord. Now, what is a fair value gap? I know a lot of people have this question. You probably see it all over the place. FVG, fair value gap, all it simply is referring to is an imbalance in the market. Now, what it is a three candlestick structure pattern where the first candlestick and the third candlestick wicks are not touching. There is a second candlestick in between, and this is forming an imbalance. Now, what an imbalance is just an imbalance between buyers and sellers. Pretty much self-explanatory. There was an imbalance between buyers and sellers. And what the market likes to do is to go fill these imbalances. So to make it very simple, think about it this way. If there's an imbalance, what do we try to do? We try to always balance the imbalance. And that is what the market is doing essentially with these fair value gaps. So again, fair value gaps, a very simple concept. All it is an imbalance in the market between buyers and sellers. And the market likes to go fill these imbalances. And they are great areas of interest for you to take entries as well as some exits. But let's go ahead and get started and show you a live trade that was taken today. Let me get my screen in here. All right, as you guys know, do trade in the Wolves Discord. This was a live trade. Signal it to my group. Tesla 220 calls today, hitting it for 165% banger. Shout out to the team real quick for absolutely destroying today like they usually do. But you guys came here for the recap and to understand why we took this trade. Now, as I said before, fair value gaps involve a three candlestick structure. And we have that right here. We have the first candle, we have the second candle, and we have the third candle right here. A nice candlestick structure of the fair value gap, a nice big imbalance. Now, what time frame do we use these fair value gaps on? Well, great question. We can use this on any time frame. We can go from the monthly, weekly, down to the 1 minute to take trades. Now, this particular trade, I was looking on the daily and I found this big fair value gap. And that's probably why we saw such a big bounce on Tesla today, because as we know, the higher time frames are going to show you the macro trends. So if we're going to get a fair value gap on the daily time frame, more than likely that move is going to be a bigger move since we are on the daily. Likewise, weekly, monthlies. And when you come down to the 1 minute time frames, we're talking about that intraday structure where the moves obviously can be pretty big, but we're looking at a smaller time frame, looking at a smaller move. So here we go today. 1, 2, 3. Nice imbalance here on the daily. Even shouted out to my team. This is what I am looking at today to take. So coming into this was looking at this fair value gap. Another thing I was looking on Tesla coming into this week was pretty much an inverse head and shoulders. So we have shoulder here, head here, and shoulder here. Now, likewise, like a regular head and shoulders, where we typically want to see selling, an inverse is going to be just that, where we have shoulder, head, and shoulder. And once this shoulder meets right here, we can go ahead. Let me go ahead and do this for you guys. Right, we have the shoulder here, we have the head here, and the shoulder here. Once these shoulders meet right here, typically what we want to see is a reversal here, back up. So likewise, where we see head and shoulders, from a bearish standpoint, once these shoulders come into play here, then we see a downward move. An inverse is just going to be the opposite, where we're going to see a reversal, but bullish to the upside here. Now, this is exactly what we saw. So Going over this one more time, fair value gap. Saw it on the daily time frame right here. Was looking for this fair value gap to fill, which is exactly what we got today. Another thing is we were sitting in a pretty heavy demand, right? So heavy demand here. One way to look at this is, what do stocks do? As you guys have seen my previous videos, what do stocks do over and over again? They break out, retest, breakout, retest, breakout, retest. Now, what do we see here? We see a breakout. And what are we coming down here? We're just coming back down to retest the breakout of this current structure, right? So we have a breakout, retest. We have an inverse head and shoulders. We also have a fair value gap. So we have all these things going for us on the daily time frame, which is a pretty big time frame, the macro trend, showing us that, we were pretty much due for a bounce. Doesn't mean we're going to get one. I don't want newer traders to, get into the mode of, we have all these confluences, which is great, which when we do have a lot of these confluences, more so than not, they play out to how we are seeing them. But there are going to be some times where they don't play out. Now, Tesla could have easily came through here and fell through as supply. But knowing that we have these confluences, that's why we use them, right? We kind of piece this together like a puzzle. Now, what would be the highest risk to reward? Well, in this instance, looking at the pattern, inverse head and shoulders, looking at the fair value gap, which are pretty strong where we get reversals once they get filled, coming into demand, breakout retest, right? We have all these confluences going for us for the upside. So now the risk to reward of what we're looking at on Tesla is going to be the upside move. Now, we could have looked for the downside, but that risk to reward is going to be to the upside. Even if we were to get a little bit more downside, we'd be looking more so for the bounce than to really take anything lower. Now, obviously, things can keep getting lower. I mean, we see the sell off here. We headed lower here, but we did see a bounce here as well, right? This could easily be this where we get a bounce and head lower. But again, the confluences, everything was adding up that Tesla was going to see some sort of bounce today. And fair value gaps work fairly well. I'd say 90% of the time. Plus, we get a nice reversal once we enter into a fair value gap. Now, this could be bearish, this could be bullish. In this instance, this was a bullish fair value gap that we were entering into. Again, demand, inverse head and shoulders, very bullish pattern. Everything was setting up for Tesla to see a bounce today, and that is why we took it. Now, I can come down here in the lower time frames. Now, one thing I was looking for in Tesla today, and we can see this nice demand. You see, this is where we broke out. So today I was looking for 212 to 210 to hold. Well, we held 212, came down, wicked down. We took the entry, right? We took this entry, right it open. We held our level at 212, took a bounce, and had an absolutely monster of a day. Now, another great question is, if I took this trade here, what would I be looking at as far as price targets? Well, the first one would obviously be pre-market high here, around 217, right? 217 would be my first price target. After that, I would definitely be looking for this gap fill. So when we're looking for price targets, we want to look at levels, gap fills, anything of that sort of nature to see, okay, if the price is going to bounce. In this instance, since we're taking a bounce, where would be those next levels to go? As we know, stocks move level to level. That is all they're doing all day long. If they're going to hold this level, more than likely they're going to go back to this level. And if they break through this level and hold that level, they're just going to go to this level, right? So start thinking about this in a very simple term. Now, I know that trading is a very hard thing to understand, but at the end of the day, what the stocks are actually really doing is a very simple thing. They're just trading level to level. If it's going to hold this level, it's going to go back up to this level. If it's going to break this level and hold it, probably going to go back down to the next level below. It's looking for price targets. We took this bounce. What would be that next price target? Be a pre-market high. After that, it would be at this gap fill. And we can see that we had a little slight reject, and then we ended up having some continuation to the upside, eventually ending at this 221 to 223 level to the upside here. We can look at the higher time frames. Why would this 223 be a level to the upside? Well, we can take a look here. When we had this breakout before, we could see that this was right breakdown. So we had some resistance here, resistance, resistance, and this was also a breakout level right here at 223. That is exactly where we came to. So looking for price targets when we take trades. I know this is kind of a quick double feature information video for you. But once we're in the trade, right, where do we take that price target? Where do we look for to take profits at? We're looking for pretty big levels. Where was there resistance before? Is there a gap fill? Okay, well, then we're going to look for this gap fill. In this instance, we saw pre-market high, gap fill, and then this pretty heavy resistance here, looking for that back test into that level. And that is exactly what we got today. And we can even see on the watch list from Sunday, we can see with Tesla, sorry guys, we can see with Tesla, gave it to the team. FVG sitting in demand. Be watching 217 held. We broke below. So we were looking for this 212, 210 area, which we held today. And then you could see back looking to long back into that 217, 221, 223. You could see this was on Sunday yesterday. And then you guys can see that we took that Tesla trade at open today. Hope that was a lot of information. Hope you guys learned a little bit about fair value gaps. Hopefully you learned a little bit about price targets. And when we're entering a trade, what would we look for, right? Looking for back tests into levels that were previous resistance or support, depending on where, uh, what type of trade we're taking. Obviously, we're taking a demand FVG bounce today. So again, my name is Mr. Banks. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. And please feel free to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone trying to really grow this YouTube channel this year. And, I do this all for free. So if you guys would like to help me out, uh, we'd be very grateful for you to share these trade recaps. Now, going into the rest of the week, guys, I believe in all of you. I know all of you can become amazing traders. Just give it time, right? You guys are already here trying to learn this education. So you're already on the right path. So I know every one of you that's watching this today, you're going to be an amazing trader. And I can't wait to see the results that come from it. Again, guys, my name is Mr. Banks. If you have any questions, drop them. I'll see you guys on the next recap. Love you guys. Let's end the week strong.